loudly.
Speak loudly. Okay. And I have to say that today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2003. This is the beginning of an interview with Jay Boone at my home at 1803 Corey Road in Marion, Indiana. Mr. Boone is how old?
43.
You're 43. Having been born on
March 16th, 1960.
My name is Linda Sylvius, and I'll be the interviewer. Jay Boone is my friend, and could you state for the recording what war and branch of service you served in?
I was in the United States Navy, and I served in the Grenada invasion.
Okay. What was your rank?
I was an E6, which is a petty officer first class,
Okay, and where did you serve? I think you already said that.
down in Grenada in the Caribbean.
We'll start with what is your family and educational background?
My family, I was adopted in 1968. My father was in the Air Force, and after his tour in the Air Force, he became a salesman and credit manager for a large furniture company. My mother was a school teacher, and I had the opportunity to have her as my teacher for 3 years. So that was quite an experience. My educational background, I attended college after leaving the Navy and obtained my teaching license, and graduated from college in 1993, and then I finished my master's degree work in 2002.
All right. What is your current occupation and address?
I'm a teacher at Tucker Vocational Center, and my address is 815 West 4th Street, Marion, Indiana.
Okay. At the time of the war, were you married or single?
I was married.
Okay.
Yes, I was.
Why did you choose to join the Navy?
Really just to get away from home. That was my first desire, just to get away and go see the world.
Yeah. How did you feel about the war or conflict?
I agreed with it. It was a good thing.
Okay. And you trust and support the American leaders?
Absolutely.
What were the feelings of your family and friends?
Well, at the time, my family and my friends, no one knew about this invasion beforehand. It wasn't until after the invasion really had ceased that the public became aware of it, so there wasn't a great deal of anti-war sentiment afterwards. The general population pretty much agreed with the purpose of why we went into Grenada, to liberate them. And as far as my family, they've always been supportive of the United States whenever there's a conflict.
That's good. Did the war change your activities and habits?
During the conflict itself, yes. Afterwards, things went back to normal.
Right. What were some of the first changes that you noticed in your life as a result of the war?
Well, I took my job more serious. I realized that I could be put in harm's way at any time for any reason, anywhere in the world, with just a few hours' notice, and realized that I better straighten up and get serious about my job in the Navy.
You did. Did you have different responsibilities, and what were they?
Well, my responsibilities stayed the same, whether it was during conflict or training or just everyday routine. My primary responsibility was search and rescue for Department of Defense initiative, is what they called it. And then secondly, we flew a lot of reconnaissance over shorelines in South America and in the Caribbean, photographing, just marking out landmarks, updating specific maps, and looking at topography, and we would insert teams to do certain things, and then after they would be finished, they would contact us by radio, and we would go back in and pick them up.
Right. Did you ever have worries that our side might not win, like during conflicts?
No, not at all. That's never been a worry or concern. After Vietnam, the military changed quite a bit. They became more focused on their goals and more responsible in what was expected of them as from the nation and from the public.
Did you know anyone that was killed or wounded?
Well, we were medevacing one flight, one squadron, and during that there was a few rounds taken by the helicopter, some injuries, nothing really major, no life-ending injuries, things that could be easily taken care of on the helicopter before we dropped them off at one of the carriers.
During either the conflict or training or at any time, did you have personal injuries?
After the Grenada invasion, we were ordered over to Beirut, and I was there for roughly 7 months. After that, we went back to the South American continent and up into the Caribbean, and at that time I was in a helicopter accident which ended my flying days.
How were you treated or cared for?
Very well. I was flown to an aircraft carrier from the crash site, and from there I went into Roosevelt Roads, Puerto Rico, and from Puerto Rico, the medical center there, they shipped me up to Bethesda near Washington, and from there I went to Portsmouth Naval Hospital for more recuperation. They took very good care of me.
Right. And you do feel that they did the right thing?
Absolutely.
Do you think that the medical care changed any because of the war or during the war?
Well, over the history of war, medical changes have drastically improved, even from World War II to Korea. You saw the MASH units. From Korea to Vietnam, you saw units even closer to the front lines. With Grenada, there was a hospital ship and two aircraft carriers right off the coast within 20-minute flights. So things have drastically improved with the ability to put someone right into surgery.
What effects do you feel that the war had on your physical or mental health?
Emotionally, it was exhilarating at one point because of the adrenaline you have, and then afterwards things start hitting home. You start wondering why you had to take a particular person's life. You wonder about, was that a dad, or was that a brother, or a son of someone? And that kind of plays with your mind, and you have to come to terms with it and realize that in war there's going to be death, and it's me or him, and I would rather be the winner of that particular engagement.
Yeah. Do you feel that you had worthwhile experiences because of the war?
Well, from the exhilaration that you feel, and the gung-ho type feelings that you have, and the esprit de corps, Yes, you would say yes, from the perspective that there was loss of life, and as a direct action of my action, then no, would be the answer.
Tell me about letters or things sent to you or from your home and your friends.
Well, as I said, the invasion was over pretty much by the time the public found out. However, the particular detachment that I was with, we were sent to Beirut, as I mentioned earlier, and we received quite a few care packages from a Marine base in North Carolina, from one of the Navy bases in Norfolk, from those bases particularly because we worked out of those two bases. And since we were sent right to Beirut, they took pity on us and sent us a lot of care packages. And then once my mom and dad found out, Mom sent an enormous amount of cookies, 3 boxes, chocolate chip cookies that everyone in the detachment helped themselves to while I was asleep.
Yeah. Were you or others ever homesick, and how would you deal with this?
No, I never missed home.
You wanted to leave, right?
I wanted to leave home and see the world, and I really enjoyed it. And any time I got back to the States, I would volunteer for the next detachment because I would be ready to leave.
Yeah. No one you really talked to was ever homesick, do you think? Or they all wanted to leave too?
We had a few guys that were homesick, and they handled it in, whatever way they could handle it. I'm sure there were tears at times, and, I talked to one person in particular that was pretty homesick, missing his new bride, and so, you just have to be able to lean on people and be able to lean and support at the same time, I guess.
Did you get to see or hear from your family or friends ever?
We were allowed to make some shift-to state phone calls after the invasion, since we were redirected right to Beirut. So they allowed us to do that during the crossing from the Caribbean into the Mediterranean. Once we got into the Mediterranean, we flew off the ship to Sicily, and in Sicily we were able to phone call and talk for a couple hours.
That's good. What was your most memorable experience?
Probably coming home after Beirut. We came home for a few days before we were sent down to South America and to the Caribbean, and it was just nice sitting back in the States and having a cheeseburger and pizza. But after the mug of beer and the pizza, it was time to get back out of the country.
Yeah. Did you ever have a humorous experience?
Oh, many.
Would you want to tell me about any of them?
Probably shouldn't. Probably the most memorable experience, it did not take place in Grenada. It took place in a area of Athens, Greece called Zapata. And before we went on liberty, we were told by the ship's public affairs officers that we should never try to steal a Greek flag. And knowing kids, 20, 21-year-old kids, we tried it. That's probably the most humorous.
Yeah. You obviously came out all right.
Eventually.
And who was your closest friend? And tell me about them or any of your friends.
David McGowan. He was my second crewman. We always flew with the same air crew. We never intermixed. David was always willing to go the extra mile and stand side by side, and if I was in any sort of danger, he would be there, and vice versa. And David always found something humorous about anything, whether it was death, fear, or whatever, and he was able to shed light on many things with his wit.
What did you guys do in your free time?
Well,
Things that you can tell me.
We did things, and other things. Whenever we were here in the States, we would usually go camping, and down in North Carolina, in the foothills, play with our guns. While we were on detachment, we usually just preoccupied ourselves with training, a lot of physical fitness type stuff, and working out on the weights, and all of that good stuff, swimming, jumping off the ship.
I bet they like that. Did your views ever change about the war over time, or the military in general, maybe?
No. In fact, today I'm more proud of the military than probably when I was in it. I think they've come so far, and excellent training and good group of people.
How did you feel when the war ended? Well, you said that you moved right on.
Relieved, happy that I did not get hurt, or my friends, happy that there was, that I didn't die naturally. Just after all the adrenaline is through your body, you're pretty worn out and ready to sleep. So I remember sleeping for quite some time, and so I was relieved.
How would you describe the ways in which the war changed your life?
Well, it probably changed my life in ways that I'm not aware of directly. If I were to sit here and say that it changed a lot, I wouldn't be able to tell you how. But I know that as a result of those type of conflicts that we all change emotionally, maturity-wise. I mentioned earlier that it became obvious to me that we had to take our jobs seriously because we could be put in harm's way at any time. So that would be one way there was change in the maturity level and in the responsibility area.
Would you change any of your decisions made during the war or in any conflict?
Probably some that I wouldn't want to discuss, but as far as my behavior toward my peers, the people that I battled with, I wouldn't change anything about that. When you take a life, you always want to change that. That's something that I think anyone would want to change, the fact that you didn't want to take that life. You had to.
Would you change your decision to participate in military and war?
No, not at all.
Yeah. You kind of touched on this already, that after the war, did you continue other wartime or military activities?
Yes, Beirut, we flew Air Guard in Beirut for several months. While we were there, the embassy and the barracks was bombed. So there was a lot of medevac work there, and then after a short visit home after that, we went into South America and Honduras and Nicaragua, that area, and we did several military operations involved in that area.
Are there any thoughts about your wartime experiences that you'd like to share?
Nothing that I've already told you.
Yeah. What honors did you receive? And tell me about them and what they were for.
Well, We received, for Grenada, we received the Navy Marine Expeditionary Medal. We also received another Navy Expeditionary for Beirut. I received a Navy Commendation as a result of the rescue that took place. That was a highlight for me. It's always nice to receive a medal signifying something you did positive. I received various other ribbons and medals throughout my military service.
Would you suggest the military as an option for young people today?
Absolutely. In fact, I believe that every young man should be required to do 2 years of military service, and every young woman should be required to do 1 year.
Is there anything else I should ask you or you'd like to add?
Should we institute the draft? No, we shouldn't. But that pretty well covers it all.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.